Welcome back to another episode of Chestnut Conversation, when we invite entrepreneurs and leaders and just good people where they could share their story and tell us about what they're doing, what they've been up to. And today we have a special guest. It's my very good friend, Darrin. He's owner of Hamel Jiu-Jitsu, right in Hamel, obviously. And he's going to talk about his story and share with us. Also, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Drutex, who made this podcast possible. Drutex, leader producer of windows. If you're looking for windows, you could check full selection at chestnutwindows.com. Darrin, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you for having you here. And so you do jiu-jitsu and you have your own gym, but also you work in finance. What company and what do you do?
Sure. I work at a company called the Luthold Group. It's been around since 1981. I started there in 2005. They were my client at my previous company, and then they hired me out of that firm. So now I've kind of had various roles from technology and operations, and now I'm the chief technology officer there. But that's it's fun company to work for, very small, a lot of different areas of finance that we work in. We manage money, we sell institutional research. It's a pretty dynamic firm, fun to work for. So I've been there for almost 20 years.
And you are COO of that company?
Correct, yes.
So if you go back, like when you were a kid, how you end up, doing finance? Is that was on your mind, or like when you were in school, like, yeah, I need to manage money because, money.
No, I didn't have any interest in it whatsoever. I went to college in River Falls, and I started studying technology, computer science, and wanted to be a programmer. Graduated from there and got a job programming right out of college, which I really, really enjoy. Still do programming. So then from that position, I went to another firm that was a consulting firm and doing more programming, kind of moved up the ladder there, took on more responsibility, and was responsible for all the major accounts at that firm. And one of those accounts was the Luthold Group. And I was doing a lot of work for them with that previous firm. And eventually they wanted to hire me out of there and to kind of take over their technology at the Luthold Group. Again, I knew very little about finance at the time. I wasn't a personal interest, and I had no interest like in picking it up at any point in the future. But the company was it was a very cool firm, and I liked the idea of having complete control over kind of designing their technology platform going forward. So that's why I moved to that firm. Along the way, over the last 20 years, I've learned a lot about finance. I've learned a lot about the stock market and the economy and so on and so forth. But it was never really an interest of mine. I'm like one of the people there that came in with finance degrees. They're CFAs. Like they know way more about finance than I do.
Oh, don't sell yourself short. I'm sure you know a lot,
Sure.
Being involved in it and dealing with stocks and everything.
Yeah.
So stocks, so do you buy your own stock too, or your company does, or like
the company does? Yeah. We personally, so when you manage money in especially mutual funds, you're under the compliance umbrella of your firm and your distributor. So you can't really, in your personal account, you're very restricted on what you can buy and sell and how often you can. So it's not worth the effort for me personally to try to pick stocks that are in a very narrow universe that I can actually buy and sell. So I'm pretty plain vanilla as far as my own investments, but the company does. Yeah, we buy stocks and bonds, and we short stocks, and it's a very tactically oriented money management firm.
So you focus on making money for your clients, not for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how we're kind of, that's ideally how most money management firms should work.
So as you say, you play with dollars, you make dollars. Play with millions, you make millions. So you just went that route.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But then you do jiu-jitsu and have your own gym. How did you encounter? Did you train jiu-jitsu from young years, or how?
Sure. Yeah. So I was a wrestler in high school or elementary school, middle school and high school. So
were you any good? Did you win any medals?
I was pretty good.
Were you a state champion by any chance?
I was a state champion.
Man, you should start with that. Like, hey, I'm a state champion. That's pretty cool.
I was pretty good in high school, and had a successful career there. And then after high school, I went into college and wrestled for a little bit in college. I went to a college in Minnesota called Augsburg and wrestled there for a year. And I really liked it. Had a lot of fun, had a lot of success wrestling. But I couldn't afford the tuition anymore. So I moved to River Falls, which is a state school. Augsburg is a private school, and it was Division III, so it wasn't like a scholarship opportunity. I wasn't like, blue chip type scholarship wrestling level. So I couldn't afford it. So I went to River Falls, and I was thinking about wrestling there too, but the program wasn't like nearly as good. Like Augsburg was a national contender every year, and River Falls was not even close to that, and they could hardly even field a full team. So it wasn't as interesting to me. So I just kind of focused on school, which I wasn't doing at Augsburg. I was focusing on wrestling there. So
my grades went up.
My grades went up a lot when I went to River Falls and stopped wrestling. So I had a tough time focusing on both of those things at the same time. So I wrestled a lot, I stopped wrestling in college, but I started coaching wrestling. So I was helping out with a local high school.
Right in college?
While I was still in college, yeah.
Okay.
I just still wanted to be around the sport a little bit. So I started helping with coaching, and I did that for a number of years and until my first kid was born in 2003.
So when you help coaching and you're still in good shape, you're still young, do you get to be on the mat and scrapple with the guys, or you're just like, no, you do that and just point fingers? Yeah.
So basically, I was like one of the younger coaches because I was still in college pretty much and just out of college. So yeah, that's exactly what you do. You're basically a partner. You're just a higher level partner that the kids get.
You're just older, stronger, and you beat them up, and
better looking.
And yes, maybe.
Yeah, so that's a lot of it. Like I didn't run a lot of the practices even. I would just show up, the head coach sets the practice, and you help kids out with whatever they need help with, but you're basically another partner.
Okay, so you start coaching right after college. Okay, and you kept doing that through the years?
Yeah, so I did that until my first kid was born, and then I was working a lot and I had a baby at home, so I had to kind of set priorities. So I stopped coaching at that point for a couple of years, 5 years really, until my first kid was old enough to start wrestling, and then I went back into coaching again, but now at the youth level. So you're like, your face is very familiar in with other wrestling club.
Yeah, so I would think. I've seen a couple of pictures with you on it. I'm like, what's Darrin doing over there?
Yeah. So I started coaching the kids program, helping coach the kids program at Wayzata. And they were a very small program at the time. We just had like 12 kids in the program, which is very difficult to run a kids program when there's 12 kids because there's 12 different sizes and 12 different ages. So we went to work. A couple of us set up a wrestling board, and our number one focus was to recruit kids. So we just started getting after it. We started advertising. We started putting out yard signs. We started word of mouth. We put flyers on windshields, whatever we could do to try to bring more kids into the program. And we were pretty successful. We got the program up to 150 kids. By the time I was kind of graduating out of the youth, and my kid was moving into the high school program. So the next wave of parents kind of was taking over the youth by that point. It was a fun time. Got to kind of do a lot of trial and error on what works and what doesn't work on bringing kids into wrestling or recruiting parents to bring their kids into wrestling. Pretty much that you're kind of targeting parents at this point. But wrestling's it's not a popular sport. It's not like hockey or basketball or baseball.
I think it's pretty popular, no? Like, I think it sounds like every high school has a wrestling team.
They do, but it's like compared to other sports, it's not as popular.
So it's not as cool as other sports. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It's a difficult sport to do. It's challenging.
It's hard.
It's hard. The practices are hard. So it's really hard to recruit a lot of kids. You know, soccer, you can get thousands of kids into a soccer program, no problem. You know, parents sign them up. They just run around on the field for, 45 minutes and they're done. They get their juice box and they go home. And that's not what wrestling is like.
Did you have that problem? Like, you have a kid in the wrestling program and say, like, doing good or okay or pretty good, and then one day parent will come over and say, hey, you know what, we're gonna cancel our membership. And like, why? It's hard.
All the time. And typically it happened when they would compete. They would go to a competition. Their kid would get, maybe take a loss, and it was really challenging for them to do that. And they couldn't come back from it. You would
say no, that's it.
That would be the end of it. So it would very much happen almost all the time around competitions.
But I think, like, being hard is the whole point. If it's hard and you deal with it and you keep at it, it's a good lesson in life.
It is. And it's easier if it's almost easier if parents aren't really involved in the process once they drop them off at the door. If they leave them at the door and don't invest themselves with it, and they just make it something that, we take the kids to wrestling practice like we take them to school. We just drop them off at the door and the school handles it. So, but that's not really the society we live in anymore. We're more in a helicopter parent type society where parents want to be very involved in whatever activity their kids are doing and kind of plan it all out for them rather than let it organically happen. So
yeah, it's hard. Like, when you see your kids compete, like, oh, you wanna protect them, you wanna help them, and it could be hard, but at the same time you understand that you just push them and let them fly.
Exactly.
Learn how to fly. You have to
kick them out of the nest and let them go.
Otherwise they'll stay in your basement forever.
Exactly.
You did train. So how many hours on the mat you had until you encountered jiu-jitsu? Just curious. Like,
it would be hard to say.
You could probably do the math.
That would be tough.
So you train how many times?
Well, by the end, it was like probably 3 to 4 times a day. By the time I was kind of getting close to jiu-jitsu, I was training like 3 to 4 times a week.
Which is a lot. You probably could hit easily 300 hours a year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And for how many years it was going on?
25.
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
So they say you need how many 1,000 hours to master something?
Right.
So you probably had that.
I felt like I understand wrestling very well. I can teach it. I can still kind of do it if I have to.
There's a physical limitation of, you're still young. I'm not saying you're old in any way. But like,
you never say that.
Yes, but those people who is 20, very different.
Yeah, they're much different.
So it's biology, nothing you can do about that. But and then you counter jiu-jitsu, or?
I came to it in kind of in a roundabout way. I have an uncle who was also coaching in Wisconsin. He was helping a high school program, and he was having a very negative relationship or negative interaction with his stepson at the wrestling practices and after wrestling practices, and he realized he needed to step out of there. So that helicopter parents, exactly. So he was kind of trying to impose his will upon his stepson on how he should be training or what he should be doing. And so he, had the self-awareness to realize that he was the problem and stepped out of the situation, but then he missed being in wrestling practice so much. So I suggested that he try jiu-jitsu because I knew what it was. I had never done it before, so he tried it and loved it immediately, and then started bugging me like daily to try to start doing it. Yep. So eventually, later on, this is 2019, early 2019. Eventually, in August of that year, I signed up for a membership at M3 Martial Arts and started jiu-jitsu. I was going 1 day a week, every Tuesday, essentials class.
all these mat hours probably help you. You're like, yeah, I'm a white belt. I know nothing. I'm like, what just happened?
They do help a little bit in the beginning, for sure.
I think they help you all the way.
I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think there's positives and negatives.
I don't see any negatives.
The negatives, it's hard for wrestlers to switch off their wrestling, and then it limits their top side or upside.
Oh, just to switch position. Yeah, in a way, but maybe.
And I think that's why wrestlers quit jiu-jitsu a lot, because they max out where their capabilities are. With wrestling, then they're stuck there. And then they're not willing to switch their style to learn what true jiu-jitsu is.
I feel like a lot of people quit jiu-jitsu regardless.
That's true.
And I think wrestlers probably stay longer than most people would.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so. Because typical person like, well, I don't like it right away, or it takes too long to accomplish something. They also quit. Where wrestler like, well, they could use that, wrestling to kind of go faster.
At my gym, I don't. They're the ones I have the most difficult time getting. Number one in the door, number two to do it again after they tried it for one time.
Oh, okay. You probably know. Yeah. So retention. So like at your gym, what's hardest part to keep people in a gym, like to have them come back? Like what do you notice? Like what do you do to kind of bring it up?
Yeah, so the retention is definitely a challenge, and it's it's a challenge in the youth program for different reasons, but I think there's a number of things. For number one, it's a lot harder than people expected. Maybe they think it's going to be hard, but then it turns out to be as hard as they find out, and then they're not willing to go through that early awkward stage where it's they can't really relax. It feels very intense. It feels very high pressure to them. They don't know anything, so they're using all of their strength and all of their energy resources right away, and then
get tired.
They get tired, and
I need to go home. That's it.
and a lot of them think it's because they're not in shape. And this would be people coming in that might do CrossFit, might be marathon runners, might be people that are in really good shape. But as well as I do that if you just use all of your muscle and strength and you just are very tense, like it just sucks your energy away very, very quickly. But I think that's probably the number one thing. I think also if we can't get somebody connected to the community, I think that's another thing. That's something I really work hard on. I want to make sure that I know everybody's name. I want to make sure the coaches know everybody's name, and that we talk to everybody at practice, so people don't get left out. But as we've been growing, it's harder and harder to do that.
Yeah, but you kind of person, like at least the way I see you, you're always nice to people. You always talk to people. Even before you started the gym, you always, have a community in you. So like you're always like friendly and everybody knows you. And I think that helps.
I try to like get to know people's names and say hello to them and ask how they're doing. And that's the community I want at, M Theory, where we train, before I started Hamel. That's what was there already. It was a great community. It is a great community, and that's what I wanted at Hamel. So that's for me. I don't coach most of the classes. I have other coaches. When I was looking for coaches, I was looking for people who are nice people, who are very enthusiastic, like bring a high level of energy when they're doing the class, care for their students and show that they care while they're training them. And, we just want to have an environment where people help each other, feel like everybody's supporting them, and everybody's trying to help each other get better. And, if we can do that, I think we can get the community that we want. And so far, I think we've been pretty successful there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've seen your classes is getting big, kids program. And I mean, that times that you spent with the wrestling youth program probably helped a lot. Yep. And you used all your knowledge, all your tricks to kind of word of
trickery.
mouth. Yep. Yeah. So how did you fill your classes up? What did you do? What's the secret?
Yeah. So I mean, as you know, people have to know about it. I mean, that's like the number one thing. You can't just, if you build it, they will come just doesn't really work that well. Anymore, right. Yeah. Especially without like this, this notion of a main street where you can just put up a sign and then people are going to know it's there and drive by it. So especially where we're hidden in a little corner of west of Plymouth, in a little industrial park. We use social media fairly heavily, both just regular posting and then advertising on there. We don't do a ton of advertising, but a little bit. And then we encourage our parents to let other parents know about it. If they are enjoying this, let other parents know that, we have this program and it's easily accessible. The kids have a lot of fun. They're going to go away with a smile, and that's been super successful as well. I think between the two, both our own advertising and then the word of mouth from the existing parents has been,
that's the secret sauce.
That's what's been the secret sauce so far.
Yeah, I've seen your latest reel will have a katana and people kind of work with it. So my question is, it's an important question. Do you let kids play with a katana too? Because if you do, I'll bring my kids too.
Have them learn to play with the katana, to use the katana.
I don't know, if I see that as a kid, I'm like, yep, I want that. I don't want any of that soccer or football, whatever. Just give me a sword. And
when we did this, this is the Bushi Club. This is the brainchild of Matt Browse. He's our social media guy and one of our coaches. He said, he didn't call it that, and he didn't come up with the katana idea. That part of it was my idea. But he said, let's have something that rewards people for, their effort and their consistency every month. Every month they have some goal to work for. In jiu-jitsu, you already have belt system, right? You get stripes and you get new belts and all that other stuff. They don't come very often, but if you have something smaller that they can work towards each month and they can just kind of set their goals at it, and it's tangible, they know what it is, then it can motivate people that need that.
And it's also hilarious. It's so funny.
So I was like, we'll call it the Bushi Club, which basically means like warrior in Japanese. And I thought I'd get a katana. So I went to a store in St. Paul that sold swords, and
I sold you one.
And I grabbed a real katana first, and I was like, I pulled it out of its sheath, and I was like, there's no way this thing is like terrifying. I mean,
and it's sharp. Probably.
It's sharp. I'm like, do these come unsharpened? Like, can I take the edge off? Can I file it away? And the owner's like, no, don't, you can't take that. You ruin the sword. And I was like, do you have something that isn't sharp? And so they gave me this
Katana
sword.
Junior.
Katana Junior. It's not as cool as the big ones, but it served the purpose. So basically, if people achieve the goal for that month, then they get to do a little demonstration with a katana, and they don't have to know how to use it. It's just for fun.
Yeah, nobody knows how to use it.
Nobody knows how to use it.
It's not Japan.
No, yeah,
15th century anymore.
Exactly. So. We don't need to know how to use it.
So you come up with a Japanese word for it. So you're pretty good at other languages?
No.
I mean, you do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You should know some of the Portuguese. Do you?
No.
Because we have to test you.
No.
I mean, you open your gym, right? Like, you should be good at Jiu-Jitsu and you should know Portuguese. So we're going to play a game.
Okay.
It's going to be a championship. And we got all prepared. So I'm going to say a phrase, words. It's going to be in Portuguese, obviously.
Is it going to have to do with jiu-jitsu?
Yes, and the question is, you have to tell me if it's jiu-jitsu related or it's complete made-up stuff. You don't have to tell me what it is. I assume you would know.
So it's jiu-jitsu related or not?
Yes, and you get points, half of points, or you get penalties. So it depends how you answer. It's a very complex system, but... if you win, you win. If you lose, then I win. So
okay, but what do I win?
Belt. You're gonna get a belt.
Oh, nice.
Belt, official, bragging rights, all that. So all the good stuff. So first one called Guarda Fechada.
I'm gonna say no.
It is. It's a closed guard. It's jiu-jitsu related. So you get half a point.
Why do I get half a point?
Because it's the first question and it was hard. So
I see. Okay.
You get half a point.
Did you know that, by the way?
Garda. Yeah, of course I knew that.
Okay.
I ask questions. Okay, so that's number 2. Chave de Braco.
I'm going to say no again.
Okay, you get half a point. It's an armbar. It's right. So you're not getting a full point yet, but half and half makes a point. So you should really kind of concentrate now because we got only 5 more questions. And like, I don't want to get that belt. That's, I want you to win. Like, Farofa.
Say it again.
Farofa.
Maybe the problem is your accent isn't quite right.
Maybe it is, but you know
Farofa.
What? It's all excuses. Farofa.
I'm going to say no again.
Yes, it's not jiu-jitsu, it's a Brazilian side dish.
What does it mean?
Side dish is kind of food.
Side dishes, okay.
Yeah, okay. Pedepano.
I'm going to say yes.
So this is like very complex. So pedepano, like if you literally translate it, it means class food. So it's not jiu-jitsu related, but there is a guy, famous jiu-jitsu black belt. His name is Marcio Cruz, and that's his name.
Okay.
Nickname. So we're gonna call it a point.
Give me points for that.
I'll give you a point for that. I don't know. It's you Portuguese, so you got lucky. So, but you got 2 points so far. No, you got 3 points. 3 points. Okay. You do the finance. I cannot trick you like CEO of finance company. So, next one will be pipoca.
Pipoca.
Have you heard like at the IBJJF Open, like, pipoca? No.
Are you serious?
I didn't. I'm asking you.
You're asking me.
Yeah.
I think someone was screaming it when someone was getting loop choked once in a IBJJF tournament.
No, people don't get loop choked.
Okay.
No, it never happens.
I'm going to say yes.
No, it's a popcorn. Pipoca.
How many more of these do I have?
You got 2 more. You got 2 more. Like, I don't know, like...
Do I have a shot here at the title still?
Yeah, you still do.
Okay,
it's
good.
50-50,
Okay.
It's always 50-50, right? Mataliao. I think that's how you say it. Mataliao.
Is it Italian?
Mataliao. It's Portuguese.
Yes.
Yes, it's a rear naked choke.
Woohoo!
And okay, last one, abacaxi. And that's really deciding point. So if you win, you win.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay, I don't know. It probably is because it's a pineapple, right?
That's got to be jiu-jitsu related.
Yeah, because like an official symbol of jiu-jitsu is pineapple.
It is the pineapple, right? It's the gift you give your coach.
You win. I do congratulate you. I got a belt for you. It's Ultimate Pajamas Champion in absolute division. And it's all made in purple colors. That's a color you wear when you open your gym.
That's right.
And, so...
Wow.
That's official. I mean...
That's amazing.
I wanted that. Only problem, if I would win it, would have your name on it. But whatever, Yeah, congrats.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You are qualified to run jiu-jitsu gym. Like you know you're Portuguese, you know your jiu-jitsu.
That's going to be hanging at my gym.
It's got to be like, this is like very professionally made.
Yeah. And I'm going to work on my Portuguese now. Yeah. If I remember correctly, you worked on your Portuguese for a while.
I did not. No, I never worked on my Portuguese. I'm still working on my English.
Okay.
And I think it's going well, but we'll see. I take privates with my 17-year-old and my 12-year-old. Like sometimes I struggle with the word, and this is how I do it.
They can fix it for you.
They can fix it for me for the most part. I'm working on it. So Darrin, you brought a gift.
I did.
Thank you. You're a very kind and generous person.
Yes.
We're gonna give it away to the best comment. And who would come up with the best jiu-jitsu position name.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a real jiu-jitsu position name. You don't have to do jiu-jitsu, but you come up with a name, and Darrin will pick the winner, and he will come up with a position for that specific name, whatever it's going to be.
I will define what the position is.
And he'll make a video, and he'll post it, and people could see it.
I love it. I make up a lot of moves in jiu-jitsu, so having someone come up with a creative name would be fantastic.
Yes, and you could use a dragon word, whatever,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, we'll have that, and we're going to tell you what the super prize is at the end. We're not going to tell you what's now. We have to be engaged, and you have to
this is a
stick to
tease.
the end.
Yeah, this is a tease.
Yes, exactly. So you open your gym and you had the experience, but what was the hardest part? What was the obstacle? Like, this is...
For opening the gym, for me, we've kind of already touched on it. For me, the hardest part was getting people in the door and then having them try it out, but then not being able to land them. I thought that it would be easier to convert people once I brought them in, showed them jiu-jitsu for one practice. That's definitely been the biggest challenge for me, and I've adjusted how I've approached it. I've tried to make it a little more approachable for somebody who's never, a lot of the people that come in have never physically grabbed someone ever in their life.
It could be feels very different from what you
very
used to.
Intimidating. Yeah. From pickleball or whatever other,
sports you could do.
Yeah. Lots of other sports. So I think, you hear a lot about jiu-jitsu. If you've never done it, you may hear about the benefits of it, or how, people have gained a lot of, self-confidence, or they like the self-defense side of it, or they feel like they've gotten into great shape, and that's all true.
Or community.
And the community is probably, the most important, but then they go try it. And the reality of it is it's a bigger challenge than what they anticipated. And so I've been working hard on coming up with ways to ease people in to it, make it a little more gentle transition, because once they've been doing it for a little while, even a couple months, and they've overcome that initial, anxiety, then it's not a problem anymore. Then they're pretty much locked in. Now there might be other things in life that take them away.
But they still quit, 6 months in
Sure.
1 year, 2 year, 4 year, 5
And
year.
I have opinions on that too. I think that there are other reasons why that happened. I think, people that quit later on after they've done jiu-jitsu for a while, I think for the most part, they quit because they have to take a break for some reason. They have to,
life happens.
Life happens. It gets in the way. It could be as much as, they sprain an ankle and they can't train for, 6 weeks or something like that. And then when it's time to come back, when they're healed and they're ready to go, they're not as in good shape. The people that they've been training with in their head are perceptibly a lot better than what they were before. And then I think it's a lot of an ego problem at that point. Like they're going to have a hard time overcoming that idea that someone that I used to be competitive with is now a lot better than me. And I don't want to deal with that.
So you're saying there is ego in jiu-jitsu because they say there is no ego in jiu-jitsu. There is or there not?
I think there actually is ego in jiu-jitsu. Okay. And as much as we try to say we want to eliminate it, it's always going to be there.
That's not a thing.
It's not a thing, no. It's always going to be there. So, but it's not that there is an ego in jiu-jitsu. It's just that we need to be able to manage it, manage our ego so that it's not a negative thing for us, so that we can use it as a positive thing. So when Efim chokes me out, it makes me motivated to try to get better so that I don't get choked out the next time.
That's my motivation when I get choked out. You're like, yeah, okay.
So if you use it as a positive thing, I think there's nothing wrong with it. But if it's a negative thing where it might make you quit, or you might, react more aggressively than you should, then I think, that's the part of it that we want to eliminate. So,
okay. So I have another question. So people say like you should never do your best favorite thing in the world, like a hobby. Don't turn it into business.
Yeah. Because
you're going to get burned out, you're going to quit, and you're going to have no joy in it anymore.
Sure.
So how's it working out for you?
Well, so far so good. I still have a lot of joy in jiu-jitsu.
That's good to hear.
I mean, so the day-to-day running of a business, there's always things that just make it, that can be annoying or difficult or a bit of a grind. But for the most part, I get to do jiu-jitsu every day, which is what I want to do.
But you did it before you opened the gym too.
I did it before I opened the gym also, but I'm kind of building my own community now, which is there's fun and challenge in that. I'm a competitive person. I'm competitive in jiu-jitsu, but I'm also competitive, just like in general. When I do something, I'm competitive with it. So starting a gym for me is also a competitive thing.
So you have a drive in you.
Yes.
Like, you know what, if I'm doing something, I should do my best.
Yeah, I want to do good at it. I want it to be a valuable thing for me. I want it to be a valuable thing for the community, and I want to do good at it. So I enjoyed the challenge of that, and it definitely overcomes all of the the small annoyances that the cleaning the mats, or somebody like a kid swears on the mat and we have to deal with that, or something like that. So it's been really fun. It's been fun watching it grow. It's been fun working with all of the people that have come and trained with us, and having such an amazing group of coaches has made it really, really nice for me. And I still have my relationship with my previous gym. I still train there once in a while. So as you know, because I don't want to give up that relationship at all either. But
that's pretty cool. You have really good coaches. You have a head coach, Drake
Roth. Yep.
Yeah, he's very good at what he does, and his approach he does a lot of research on his stuff. He's just not showing you the move.
There's a lot that goes on behind it.
And he's done jiu-jitsu from very young age, so his movement is just amazing, and he's very good with people. So he's pretty awesome.
Yep. That's beyond. I mean, when I first met Drake, he's just got a great personality, right?
He does. He's very helpful.
Very helpful, very nice. And even before he coached at M Theory, because he's a coach at M Theory as well, he coaches a Saturday morning class. Even before I saw him coach, I just saw him like interacting with other people. And I remember thinking that if I ever started a gym, I would want to have him be one of my coaches. And then when I started the gym, and then I asked Ishmael Bentley, who owns M Theory, who would be a good coach, he mentioned Drake to me. So I mean, Drake or Ishmael saw that as well, that he would be a good, a very good coach for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, but do you have a general manager, or you do all your work yourself?
That's currently I am the general manager.
Okay.
So it's probably getting close to a tipping point where I'll need to hire somebody for that job. But I don't know, we'll see. It's manageable now, but having a day job definitely makes that a little more challenging.
Yeah, and you also have a wife. You have a family, have kids. You need to spend time with them from time to time.
I do, yep.
So general manager might be a good idea to have at some point.
Yep. So if anybody is interested in a part-time general manager position, reach out to me.
I'm sure some blue belt would kill for that job.
I'm keeping my eye out. I'm kind of identifying the right person right now. So
yeah, it's a lot of work, and I think general manager, it's a very important job, because that's the person who should know everybody's name.
Yep.
That's the person should be like community builder, and just be a nice person in general. I think super helpful.
Oh yeah, they're kind of the glue for the whole community. So they're the people that you can always get an answer from. They're the communication, channel for the entire gym. And, it's just like you said, they have to know everybody's name, and they have to be very helpful, and they have to know everything about the gym.
So your business background really helped you. Your wrestling background really helped you. Being a part of community with MTV also helped you. So stars align just right to get it going. So which is really nice to see.
Yeah.
And where people could learn about your gym.
Well,
Are you on social media?
I am on social media. I'm
nice.
Hamel Jiu-Jitsu is our Instagram tag and our Facebook page. And hameljujitsu.com is our website. We're very active. We respond to all comments and direct messages. So if anybody's interested, please reach out and we will get you set up.
Yes. So what's a gift?
The gift
Yes,
is a Hamel Jiu-Jitsu t-shirt, an exclusive Hamel Jiu-Jitsu t-shirt, high quality, fits amazing, make you look great. And on top of that, if you win this t-shirt, and this isn't required, but if you're interested, I will give you 1 free month of jiu-jitsu at Hamel Jiu-Jitsu. If you win this t-shirt, 1 free month of jiu-jitsu.
Man, you have to comment right now, and that's awesome. Like, you walk in the shirt and just go right in the mat. But you have to sign the waiver.
Just have to sign the waiver. That's it. No commitment. At the end of the month, if you want to continue training with us, you can, but no pressure.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I think Arthur, he's making a video right now. I think he's typing the comment.
Yeah, he's already working on the comment.
That's pretty funny. That's very generous of you and very nice of you. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
So do you compete too? Like,
I do compete. Yep.
So why do you compete? Like what it gives you? Like
that's a good question.
What drives you?
I didn't want to compete when I started jiu-jitsu, just because I know that when you compete, you kind of have to put a lot of effort into the training you have to have self-respect. You can't just walk out without preparing yourself, right? So the preparation side of it's very time consuming, takes a lot of energy, and I wasn't ready to commit that. And then when COVID hit, we all started training in these pods and then these small groups, and then kind of became friends with people in those small groups. We were one of them. And then eventually we started doing comp training, and then the comp training classes were pretty much the same group. And so all of these people in the comp training class are going to go do a tournament. So I was like, I might as well do it with them. It was fun, and did a tournament. And then I realized that for me personally, competition is the best way to improve my jiu-jitsu, because it focuses my training. It makes me eat healthier, avoid negative things in my life like alcohol, lack of sleep, keeps me drinking enough fluids, and also like I'm getting ready for competition right now, and when I'm training, I'm very cognizant of my health on the mat. So I avoid positions that could potentially cause an injury. I tap if something potentially could hurt a lot earlier. So I think it's all around just makes my jiu-jitsu a lot better.
But do you enjoy like actual time, like when you have to step on the mat, or you completely go off? I'm just like, you know what?
I enjoy it while I'm doing it.
I know you like training, and this is great,
Right.
But this time, like when you actually have to go on the mat, and
the time before I go on the mat, I do not enjoy, which I find would be weird if someone did enjoy that.
I'm sure some people do. I don't know why.
I'm sure there are, but it still would be weird to me. So, but I do not enjoy that.
You're not one of them.
I'm not one of them.
You're not psycho. That's good.
I'm not a psychopath.
You don't want a psychopath running jiu-jitsu gym.
Right.
It's not going to end up well. So,
but even when I wrestled, I didn't enjoy that part of it either.
No? But how do you compare culture in wrestling and jiu-jitsu, like training-wise? I mean, competition is competition, right?
Sure. Yeah. The training is definitely a little different. One thing to note is that it's all kids, in wrestling. It's not adults, and adults need to be trained or handled differently than kids. They need more agency over what they're doing. And I know not all gyms are like this, but for me personally, I look at my gym as a third space. This is kind of a topic that became kind of hot after COVID. It's actually a much older concept than COVID, but COVID, we had to isolate. So people had their home life, they had their work life, which was kind of going away. People were working from home more often. And then the third spaces, which, might be a gym, there might be a coffee shop, it might be a bar, it might be a church, whatever. Those things people weren't allowed to go into for the lockdown reasons. Researchers are looking at whether this is causing an adverse effect on, the population in general. So coming out of COVID, I look at our space as a third space. And an important thing for me is that if someone comes, it's got to be a space that if they're going to come 15 minutes late, that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing as far as I'm concerned. Not that they're late on purpose, but they have a busy life. They have a lot of things going on, but they've still carved out the time to be able to make it to jiu-jitsu for the last half hour practice or whatever. And so we give people agency. If they want to take a break, sit on the wall and watch, drink a bottle of water, whatever, that's completely okay. In wrestling, none of that stuff is an option.
It's not happening.
That's not happening. So you have to be at practice. Before practice starts, you have to, the practices are heavily focused on cardio conditioning. Not only do they teach you wrestling, but they also make sure your body is extremely conditioned well. So because in wrestling, if you get tired, the match goes south very quickly. It's not that that's not the case in jiu-jitsu, but it's not as much. I think you can hide it more in jiu-jitsu if your cardio isn't as...
Or you don't have to compete in jiu-jitsu.
And you don't have to compete. And
because wrestling is sort of like a competition.
It's very competition focused.
You train.
Why would you be training?
Because you're not going to compete. In jiu-jitsu, you could do it just because it's a good fitness. I know people who's doing it for fitness. I know people who's doing it for the self-defense. Some people do it for sports, whatever.
Yeah. Or just to the community of it.
Or just community. Like, I just going to go talk to guys.
Yep. Hang out with my friends.
Yes.
So yeah, wrestling is very competitive, very, very competitive focused, and the practices are definitely much tougher because you have to be highly conditioned to compete. They're definitely more strict. Everybody has to participate in everything. There's no I feel tired. I don't feel like doing this. I'm going to take a round off, coach. No, you're not taking a round off. But in jiu-jitsu, that's obviously, that we encourage people to take responsibility for their own feel, how they feel.
So it's way more casual in a way.
Way more casual, yes.
Yes, that's pretty awesome. So you won Master Worlds last year. So are you going for a brown belt Master Worlds this year?
I want to go full sweep.
Okay. That's pretty cool. So how many people were in your bracket at Masters Worlds?
I think 33.
So there's enough crazy people your age who is willing to fly and pay money and compete. And that's pretty cool. And there's some tough people you had to beat.
They're all tough. I don't know. I never went to one of those tournaments and not have tough competition.
It's always something.
It's always tough, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So jiu-jitsu is kind of like niche sport and it's becoming more popular. There's more gyms opens up, but it attracts different crowds too. Did you ever have a crazy people walk into your gym to train? Just curious. I've seen some crazy people. I don't know if it happened to you.
I had one person that I didn't have to ask them not to come back because they didn't come back after the first one, but they were definitely a crazy person. I don't want to go into the details of it, but and they just showed up for an open mat on a Sunday, but yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some people to come in and I like one guy said, I'm gonna beat any black belt at your gym, and they come and train, and like 20 minutes later they sit on the bench, prison, and they walk away and never come back. I think
we share space with the wrestling club at our gym. I think if I wasn't part of the wrestling club, if I didn't have a wrestling background, I think there'd be more wrestlers with that attitude coming in, like trying to, show. Because when I was in wrestling, everybody thought that like a wrestler could beat, a high level wrestler could beat any level of jiu-jitsu person. Like,
okay.
Like that was it was just assumed.
It was not a question.
It wasn't a question. It was just assumed. And I kind of thought that too until not like the year I started, but maybe a few years before, I had, somebody had like showed me a few things in jiu-jitsu, and I realized, oh wait, this is way different than what I thought. So I was hip to it long or before I started, but there's a lot of wrestlers that's just, the mentality is just like, of course we would just crush everybody.
I'll just smash him. But
the fact that I was part of the program before, people know me, and I have some level of respect there. I think in YZ, they kind of understand that it's not the same thing. It's a different sport. And the few that have tried it have realized that.
So you could see it's different.
Yeah.
I remember our first round with you. You had so much energy, and you just took me and you moved me like all the way through the gym. And I think it was a lasso guard or something. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to hold off.
I don't remember it that way.
And then you said, well, that was frustrating.
I don't remember. I remember not being able to do anything.
And I was just like a mop. I didn't have to clean the mats after that. I just moved.
But we were white belts, so we didn't know anything at the time.
We didn't know much, no. That was a good fun times. I think white belt is an amazing belt.
It is.
You don't know anything. You could do whatever you want. And people way nicer to you.
Yep.
They're trying to help you.
Yep. I don't think white belts realize that. Don't try to get that blue belt too soon.
Blue belt is also a very good belt.
It is. It's just things change.
You know more, and some people are meaner to you. So what? That's okay. And the purple belt is also a great belt. Like more, but there is no high expectation.
Right.
And brown belt is also great.
It is good, but more expectation though.
Yeah, but there's some respect. And if you're a brown belt, and if a blue belt gets me with anything, like gets a submission,
revenge.
I just know. I just let him work. That's what happened, right? Because brown people,
you
nice
just pat
people.
him. You say nice job.
It's a nice job. You're working on something. You just let him work. But if you're a purple belt and you get submitted by a blue belt, you didn't let him work. He got it. That's how it works.
Because everybody knows that purple belt was
they all work. They're all arrogant and they don't let people work. That's purple belt. But
that's
brown
true.
belts, whatever.
That's true. I can see that.
So you could take that high expectation off your shoulder. Doesn't matter.
I get submitted by lower belts all the time.
Me too. But now I let them work.
Sure, there's a good reason for it.
Before they got it for real, but now I just, that happens. So
I like it.
It's all about perspective.
I like it. Yeah, that's the way you look at it.
Because you could look at the same thing happening and you could decide it's the worst day of your life, or like, you know what, it's a good day and it's a learning curve. That's all it is. So,
and I was nice to that blue belt that caught me in an ankle lock.
Yes. Yeah,
I got guillotined by one of our female white belts just last week or 2 weeks ago. And it was a legit, I had to tap. There was nothing I could do about it.
So if you want
I was going down if I didn't.
If you want to learn how to do a proper guillotine, you should go to Hamel Jiu-Jitsu.
Exactly. We have people that can do it.
You could do it at white belt. You don't have to wait until
you don't have to wait
a few years until you get a blue belt or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So do you guys still do a dodgeball at kids classes?
We do.
You do? Because I heard some complaints.
There has been.
People stop doing that, and people talking online like, "Hey, bring back dodgeball to Hamel." I'm not sort of related to you, so I don't.
So we switched youth coaches. We went from Professor Dan Manasak. He's not a professor.
He's a chef.
He's a chef. Chef Dan Manasak. He was our coach for the youth program, and then work got in the way for him. His day job got in the way. So now we've brought in Ryan Dixon, and Ryan has more Spartan ideas about how training should be run. And he's not into 80% more dodgeball than all the other gyms. They still play dodgeball.
Okay, as long as it's still on the menu, like it doesn't have to be a main course.
Exactly. It's an hors d'oeuvre every week.
Okay,
so the kids still come away smiling every day. So that's all I care about.
So you're building community, but what is your way to give back to community? I know you do a lot of help with fostering dogs. Mm-hmm. Could you tell about that, please?
Not fostering, adopting.
Adopting. Okay, just I don't know. Just
Sure.
tell people like what they do.
Sure. I don't really look at this as kind of a giving back because we wanted a dog, and so we initially adopted a rescue dog, and the dog was great, very, very wonderful dog, easy to have. And then when COVID came around, just like probably half the population, we decided to get a COVID dog, and so we adopted another dog that was a rescue, and this one was a lot crazier than the first one. So we've spent probably the last 5 years trying to get it less crazy, and we're making ground.
So making progress.
Making progress. She's a good dog. She's fun to have. But yeah, a lot of work. She's definitely a lot of work.
Work in progress.
She's a work in progress. She's a very expensive dog. She either from training, going to dog school, going to the behaviorist vet. There's her medications. So she's
just having another kid. That's what it sounds like.
It is very much like having another kid.
Yeah. So where do you adopt your dogs? Like,
there's an organization called Mars in Minnesota, northern metro area, Midwest Animal Rescue Shelter. Great organization. They bring in a lot of dogs from the South that is in areas of the South that don't kind of think of dogs in the same way that we may here, not treated quite as well. So these are dogs that have maybe been in bad situations, and none of them are, or most of them are not purebreds. They're by and large mutts. We didn't care what type of dog it was, but yeah, so that it's a great organization, and if anybody's looking for a dog, and there's other rescue shelters too, but Mars is a great organization, and they do a good job researching the family to make sure that you have the right space for the dog that the dog can thrive in, and that the owners are going to be able to take care of it. And they go through an interview process, an in-home visit. And once you get through that, then you take the dog for a period of time. And if everything works out, then you can adopt the dog. And if it doesn't, then they take the dog back and relocate it to another family.
That's pretty cool. So you got your work life, you got your family life, and you got jiu-jitsu as your, community life. Do you have any other hobbies that you do for fun? Like, is there like anything you could do like to get your mind off Hamel Jiu-Jitsu? I need a break. And
well, rolling actually takes my mind off of pretty much everything, as you know. I like to ride my bike. That's probably my other activity that I like to do. When it's nice out, I try to ride probably 3 times a week.
Well, that's pretty good.
Mountain bike. Or
3 times more than I do it.
Mountain bike, gravel bike, road bike. I like it all.
You do all of it.
Yeah.
Did you race when you were younger?
I did race when I was younger. Yeah, I started cycling when I was 12, I think. Started racing shortly thereafter, and raced all the way up until, my first kid was born. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a competition, right? So if you compare competition in bike and wrestling and jiu-jitsu, like you said, getting ready is fun, but competition in bike, is it feels the same way as you step on a wrestling mat or jiu-jitsu mat, or it's completely different?
It's completely different for some reason for me. I know it's not for everybody, but I would not get nervous. I mean, sometimes I would if it was a big race, like I would maybe get nervous, and I was like in really good form. Bike racing is a little bit different in that it's hard to keep the same form consistently over a long period of time, where I think in jiu-jitsu and wrestling, as long as your fitness is there, like I think it's
manageable.
You can keep the same level of what you're capable of doing. Where bike racing, you can be fit, but your form isn't good, and your leg's going to be crap. So, but when the legs are going good and it's maybe a big race, then maybe you get a little bit of butterflies. But once the race starts, it's a jiu-jitsu match takes, 6 or 7 or 8 minutes, depending on how many stoppages there are. A bike race could take 4 hours. It's not like you're going to be nervous for 4 hours.
You could have a heart attack if you get nervous for 4 hours.
Right, exactly.
Which is not good.
Yeah, no. So yeah, racing is fun. And then I did it a few more times. I did triathlons for a little bit after, later on, but now I just enjoy riding. I don't want to race really anymore.
That's what I said about jiu-jitsu. I don't want to compete anymore. Look at you.
So who knows? I might do it. Who knows? If I did, I'd probably do mountain bike racing if I did. Road racing is like wrestling, and mountain biking is like jiu-jitsu as far as like the community is concerned. Like road racing is very intense. You have to be really great shape to do it. Mountain biking, you could go out tomorrow and if you had a bike and a helmet, you could go do a race and it would be no problem. If you went and did a road race, you'd get dropped instantaneously and be riding a very long way all by yourself. And while the rest of the pack is down the road. And if you did a criterium, you would get lapped probably within 5 laps, and then they'd pull you off the course. So you'd spend about 5 minutes of the race.
You don't want to be that guy.
No. So it's just a different deal.
It's a different deal, different sport. So in jiu-jitsu, if you're bigger, it's advantage, right?
Yeah.
Because you're strong, you have more muscles.
Yeah.
But in the bikes, what's a perfect weight or size?
You're it.
But like if
155 pounds.
Oh, really? So you don't have to be 200
6
pounds?
6 foot.
Because there's more muscles.
So the bigger you are, the harder it is to get up the hills. So, and if you're mountain biking, the bigger you are, like it's harder to come out of a corner. It's hard to go up the hills, but as you turn the corner, you have to get that weight up to speed. So, it definitely is difficult when you're heavier. So like if you watch like pro cycling, like Tour de France type stuff, those people get to the absolute minimum amount of weight that they can while maintaining their strength. So they look extremely skinny.
So I'm doing wrong sport.
Get into bike racing.
I would hate to start all over. I was thinking to start a bike, and then I remember you helped me to find the bike, and I almost bought it. And then I thought to myself, I'm really gonna enjoy it. No, I should not do it. Yeah, you have to like it. It's like running. Like you have to
enjoy it. Yeah.
And if you find the sport, you have to like it. Otherwise, for fitness, maybe you should make yourself do but you should find the sports that you enjoy, and please try jiu-jitsu. And if you like it, just stick to it. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. You find something else. Yeah, you could do.
If you like it, you're going to do it, and that's going to keep you healthy. So, and we have to work out, right? If you don't, you're just going to get into your middle and late ages in a body that isn't going to, it's not going to be as enjoyable for you. You're not going to have as much fun. You're not going to be able to do things that you wish you could do. And so you have to stay in shape. And so if you're not working out, you have to find something that will help you work out. And that's for me, jiu-jitsu is the easiest thing for me to do. I'm not happy unless I'm going to the gym every day, and it keeps you in good shape. So
yeah, absolutely. So Darrin, thank you for having. Thank you for being on a podcast. And
your kids are teaching you well. Thank you for having me.
You should do a better job teaching me English, please. No, I have good stories. Like that story when you were biking for the first time in 55 and it was a small road and you got lost.
Did I tell you that?
Yeah, and you didn't know where to go. That was a fun story.
Yeah, because that was when I was going to Augsburg, and I met a crew at Kenwood Cycles, which is down by Lake of the Isles. You know where that is?
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this is so cool, because I had been riding by myself just on very short loops where I knew how to get where, you know, knew I could get back to the college. So I was like, oh, I can go with these people and then I'll get back to here. And I know how to get back from here to the college. And then we start riding and we start going out further west. And I was just like, I have no idea where I am. And then they all start splitting off in different directions. And I was all by myself. And yeah.
It's a plot for the horror movie. Like, oh, I'm going to bike with these people. And they just start disappearing one by one. And what happened?
Right. Yeah. It was just people like, it was, I think it was a 60-mile ride and some people didn't want to go 60 miles. So it would be like, they'd peel off and then another one would peel off. And next thing you know, there's like 2 guys left and I couldn't keep up with them. And that was it.
How did you get home?
I found, well, there's 2 stories on this. One of them, the one where I couldn't keep up with the 2 people, I made my way to 55, or I found 55 on accident, and I knew that went all the way to Minneapolis. So I literally rode it all the way in, which wasn't as bad back then than it is now. Like 55 now is like, you know, 4 lanes and divided highway, and it's not something you want to ride your bike on. Back then it wasn't quite as bad. And I eventually made it back to Augsburg in the dark. The second time I was with the same group.
You like went to them second time. Like they dropped you first time and you're like, no, I'm still doing that.
But I was in better shape now because I'd been riding a little bit more by this time, because wrestling shape isn't the same as cycling shape. You have to kind of get different. You got to get your legs. So my legs were better now. That was like one of my legs were better and I felt more confident. And we get out at the apex of the ride at the very far edge out in somewhere like 40 miles west of the cities. And I get a flat tire and everybody stops. And I have these things called tubulars, which it's basically the tubes built into the tire and they just get glued onto the rim. And I don't know why. I know why, because I couldn't afford training wheels. So training wheels are wheels that you only train with. Race wheels are your fast wheels. I only had one set of wheels. They're my race wheels. And my race wheels were tubulars. So if I get a flat, I need to put another tubular on. So I get a flat and I was like, oh no, this is bad. I didn't have a spare tubular with me. And I asked the crew, I'm like, does anyone have a spare tubular? And they're like, no, we don't. We all have tires and tubes.
They had money.
They had money and they had training wheels. And they're like, why did you ride all the way out here with us with tubulars and not have a spare tubular? So that one I didn't know what I was going to do. I just started walking back. And again, I'm in cycling shoes, which have cleats on them, and you're going clink, 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 clink.
Don't go very fast.
You don't go very fast. And a couple of stoners saw me in a hatchback, and they
just gave you a ride.
And they said, stop, and said, hey, can I help you? And I'm like, can you take me to a bike shop? And they're like, oh yeah, no problem. So I threw my stuff in the back of their car. They took me to a bike shop, which is like 5 miles away. And I went into the bike shop and I realized I only had like $12 on me. And I'm like,
back then it was a lot of money.
It was enough for my food for the ride, more than
not a lot of money.
And I was like, I don't think they're going to have a tubular for $12. I mean, tubulars are like, they were probably like $40 or $50 at the minimum. So I go into the bike shop and I say, hey, I just have a flat. I gave the situation. Do you have a spare tubular? Like, do you have one you've taken off a bike? It doesn't have to be a new one. I only have $12. So they found one that had been taken off a bike. And I said, how much is it? The guy's like, I would charge you like $30 for this. And I said, I will come back and pay you for this if I can have this tubular. And the guy was nice. He gave me the tubular and I rode home.
So you financed, purchased, you got $12 for down payment.
I actually did a race out there like 2 weeks later, and because I didn't have a car, I had no way to get out there other than on my bike. And so I carpooled with somebody to that race, and then we stopped at the bike shop and I paid the guy for the tubular.
That's pretty funny. You're very adventurous, like going nowhere.
It was stupid. It was very stupid.
Yeah, people, when they're young, they do crazy stuff.
They do crazy things.
because you think you're invincible.
Yep.
But do you have any advice for the young entrepreneurs who like want to start the business, want to try the business?
Yeah, I guess if you want to start a business, or you want to, if something you're interested in, I mean, there's a lot of ways that can be successful, but if you can do work in that industry or sector to understand it, have some level of build up your own level of expertise, and then use that as a base for when you start the business. Because when you start it, there's gonna be so many things that come at you that you don't even think about, like like your accounting, if you're setting up your registration, all of this stuff, and you can hire all of that out. But if you're young and you're starting a business, it's very expensive to hire a lawyer, hire accountants. But there are a lot of resources that can help you do all of that stuff. But understanding how to run the business, or how the business should operate, is like the most important thing, I think. You can get around all the other things, but if you don't know, how to get customers in the door, make customers happy, and make money off of that transaction, then there's no way that
you'll stay in business. You'll just open up and
you're not gonna make it. It's not gonna be something you can grow. So, I think pretty much any business is bringing business in the door, and that's like number one, and then number two is making sure they're happy when they come in.
So get some experience with as an employee for different businesses.
Yeah, be an employee at a different business. If you were, for me, my experience working in the wrestling club was directly applicable to running a jiu-jitsu business. And for me, I understood in the wrestling club that we needed to get more wrestlers in the door. We needed to get kids to do it. Like that was our number one goal. And then when we got them in, we had to be able to keep them. The attrition rate is so high in wrestling in general that we wanted a club where less kids came in, did wrestling, and walked out the door. So that is directly applicable. That's what I'm doing with jiu-jitsu. It's the exact same thing.
So you have to be good at sales. You have to be good at accounting. You have to be good at a lot of things.
There's a lot of things you have to be good at. You got to be able to wear multiple hats. And then if you're somebody who gets, if stress gets, if you can get highly affected by the stress of situations, you'll want to be able to deal with that before you start a business, because there's just so many stressors that come with owning a business that if you can't manage that stuff effectively, it's gonna ruin the business.
One of the effective ways to manage stress: sign up for Hamel Jiu-Jitsu.
Absolutely.
And it really takes mind off things. Like you just walk into the gym and one person, and walk out different person.
You get a mental vacation for an hour.
That's huge. Like,
it is huge.
We got so many distractions right now. Like, oh, there's a email, there's a message, or there's social media, and you just constantly, your brain is exploding. But you go to the gym and everything is off. You don't think any of it, and like, well,
you can't. It's impossible.
Take a mini vacation.
Take a mini vacation. Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, running business could be hard. So get some experience. Super helpful.
Don't you think? I mean, I'm not supposed to answer the questions, but you had experience in construction before you started your...
Yeah. When I started, I really struggled with accounting, to write everything down and just
keeping track of everything.
Make money, don't lose money, and working on your estimates and get the sales. And but I mean, you have to do it like swimming. Like I could teach you how to swim, but you have to
go in the pool.
You go in the pool and figure it out for yourself. Yeah. Otherwise, it's all.
Yeah, you'll learn a lot once you start.
Yeah, you have to do it, and you just find what you like. Or I never thought I'm gonna do construction, but once I started, I know I have some level of skill now, and I don't want to start something completely new because it will be irrelevant. It will take some time, and you just build off of that.
Yeah.
And just find a different niche, like you're doing remodel, or then you build a house, then you build a warehouse, whatever, but it's basically the same thing.
Yep.
Having a good relationship with people also is important, like a community.
Yep. You definitely need to be able to have good relationships with people.
I've seen guys like really good at what they do, but their communication is just really bad and clients just like not happy.
Yeah.
They rather go with somebody who has maybe not such a good skill or, quality, but they're like, just like somebody is smoking and they throw the cigarette right in the lawn and homeowner sees it. They're like, they don't care what you do now.
Right.
Like,
it doesn't matter what the house is going to look like.
You could do anything right now. You could build it out of gold. I don't care anymore. It's my lawn and you're a champion. Absolute division, but
absolute division. Is this the year Efim does the absolute division?
I don't do absolute division. I have 3 kids. And my life insurance is very low, so it's only $500,000. So I need to stay alive.
It's not that dangerous, people.
No, it's not. No, I did it once. It was
I remember
ultra heavy.
First round,
and I think I did pretty good. I was very happy, but I felt like he was punching me. Like he was not, but that felt like it. He was just pushing in my face, and it was down below. And I was like, I don't know. And next day I woke up and I felt like, this is. And I know what happened. Like that's not that 150 pounds guy did it to me. No way. Because being a featherweight, you how much muscle other guy's gonna have?
Right.
Same, as me. Like and. How much damage he could do. I mean, he could do some damage, but it's not going to be.
And you train with big people sometimes.
Yeah, but like if somebody has 200 pounds on him and it's all muscle and you don't, they could do a lot of damage to you.
Right.
Like they could rip you apart. So,
yep.
So there's divisions for a reason.
There's divisions for a reason, correct.
People should stay in the divisions. Unless somebody who's like, you can see it, a dull color belt, somebody who's coming up and, super good, they could do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's middleweights, sometimes lightweights that win the absolute.
Middleweights probably could do it, but light feather, rooster, even feather probably should never do it. Rafa Mendes never did absolute division.
No.
And he's one of the greatest. So.
He didn't need to do it.
Yeah, that's not, life is not fair as it is. That's why we have age brackets. That's why we have weight divisions. So kind of like, let's separate everybody.
Yep.
And that's why I have a master's division. Master's division is the best thing for jiu-jitsu.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because if you had to go compete with young people, it would be like...
Wouldn't work.
Yeah, it's not.
No, it's 2 different species.
Yeah, Ethan is a master, right? But he did adult, and he did a match with Philip Andrew. Like, isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
Philip Andrew took the second at CGI.
Yep.
And the year before, Ethan was going against him. Like,
Not the same.
So I think they bring in another coach from Brazil. People do that. Like, you find a black belt from Brazil and fly him over to Minnesota, and he like, I'll get a visa and work for you. Have you thought about that at all?
It would have to be, for me though, it's like got to be whoever the coach is, it's got to be the right fit, like for what I want culturally within the gym.
And it's hard to know like if you never met the guy.
Yeah.
So you would have to go to Brazil and spend some time there.
Yeah, I'd have to spend a lot of time with the person. I mean, like if Joao Machado was available, like he's got, kind of that personality, he's very enthusiastic about it. He's a good teacher. He's a very good teacher. Probably more strict than,
he's super nice.
Super nice. Very nice. But
But have you seen his Instagram stories and posts? Have you seen Brazil's beach? It's so beautiful.
That's the thing. It's like, he's not coming to Minnesota.
Those food pictures, like after training, there's a training. I mean, I don't know. It's probably hard you got to find somebody like in Eastern Europe.
There you go.
Because weather is not good and it's very gloomy. And they like, well,
Adam Wersinski?
Yeah, Adam Wersinski.
I take him.
Yeah, you should. He's good.
He's hired.
Yeah, it's so hard to like to change Brazil beaches in Rio de Janeiro. To Minnesota. Like, I mean, summer is great. Like lakes, everything. But once winter, I see why they would say no.
Yeah, I don't want to live there.
That's awesome. So you have to go to work today? Or?
Oh yeah, I got to work today.
Your kids' classes are huge.
Yeah, they're big, very big.
So like, what's the best client for the business perspective? Is it the kids or adults?
The nice thing about kids is they don't decide if they're going to come to practice or not.
They would do great in USSR. You don't get to decide anything.
The parents decide for them, and as long as I can stay on the parents' good side, they're going to keep their kids coming.
Yeah, those adults, they make decisions and everything, right?
But there's a lot of research about kids, school-age kids doing jiu-jitsu and the benefits from it, and
I'm sure there's tons.
There's tons of research, and a lot of it's directly applicable to a lot of the issues that kids are having right now with mental health or ADHD, and it's literally like there's a study done in Abu Dhabi where 87 school-aged kids were in 6th grade were given or were allowed to do jiu-jitsu twice a week for Phi Ed class, and 87 were had normal Phi Ed, and they used Z-scores for it. So they tested the kids before the program and then after the program against their own ability for like self-restraint and self-control, and the results were significant for the kids that did jiu-jitsu. So it didn't matter, like if it wasn't like they picked kids that only had good self-restraint that did jiu-jitsu. Even if they did, they looked at the improvement that they made.
Not,
yep.
Makes sense. I have an idea. So like kids don't get to decide if they're going to do jiu-jitsu or not. I mean, adults signing the waiver, you could add like a language and okay, hey, you don't have to decide anymore. And nobody's going to read that. They're going to sign and like, I'm quit. No, you sign the paper. You have to come back.
This is a lifelong thing. There are gyms that do that. We are a month to month. We don't make them come.
I think this is very good business practice. Like, as a consumer, like if somebody say, hey, you have to sign for 7 years and you have to commit. Like, this probably. I see where they're coming from. Like, yeah, get people committed and just kind of push it through. But being an adult and living in a free society, like you have to decide for yourself, like if you're gonna do it or not. Yeah,
for me, it's like it's part of like the adults have that agency over their own, how they are gonna approach jiu-jitsu, and part of that means when they can quit. And if they want to quit after a month, they can quit after a month, and I'm not gonna keep them on contract. There's no contract. So, but there are gyms. I had a person who lives in Plymouth. He'd been training at another place, and he came in and he said, I'd like to join, but I have a contract with this other gym. And I'm like, oh yeah, we can work around that. I'll absorb that contract until it's done. I'm like, when does it expire? And he's like, I got to find out. And then he came back and the contract was 4 years.
4 years.
4 years. I was like, really, 4 years?
I mean, there's a way to cancel. There's no way you could. I don't know.
We worked out something, but we got around. We got it
figured out.
Yeah. Wow. But I told him I was going to work with it, and I stood by it. He is still paying it. He's still paying that contract.
Yeah. So if you don't like 4 years contract, check out Hamel Jiu-Jitsu.
Exactly. 1 month contracts.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen in 4 years. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in 6 months, honestly. Yeah. Like,
right.
I think I'm going to train, but like in reality, like, I don't know, like things happen in life.
Absolutely.
You never know. So
right.
You have to have a freedom a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know how you can, but they're a successful gym. They bring in a lot of people. I don't know that they keep as many people as other gyms, but whatever.
Yeah. I never coached people, right? But then I see when people coach, I could see how could it be hard. You get emotionally invested in your student, and one day student say, you know what, I quit, or like, no, I go to that gym now, or something like that. And you're like, well, yeah, it's too bad. You're getting good. And
yep.
It could be emotionally hard.
Yeah, I think it's always hard when someone leaves for whatever reason. But
oh, I know.
I always wish them well and let them know they're always welcome back. That's the only
thing you could do. Yeah. I like that.
There's nothing else I can do. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and truly, like if we have the wrong location, I hope that we can be a gym for everybody, but I know that's not possible. There are people that want something that we can't provide, whatever that might be. And that's
knife and defense, knife and a stick defense.
Yeah, we're not doing it. If you want it, we don't have it. Sorry.
Too bad. I mean, you could still let it. You're still young, Jim. I mean,
yeah, maybe. Who knows?
You'll evolve one day. You know, it will come around.
We do have that sword now.
Yeah, sword is better. I mean, every jiu-jitsu gym should have a sword. I think they have some swords at MTV. Like there was
on the wall. I don't know if they're still.
No, they're on the wall. There was a competition before. They were given swords instead of medals.
Yeah.
And if there's a competition like that, please let me know because I'll sign up. I'll get it. Oh yeah, for sure. For the sword, I mean, I'm 42 years old, right? I cannot buy myself katana and put it in the wall. It's going to be like, doesn't make sense, right? But if they give me katana and I want it, like, well,
I have to put it on the wall.
I have to put it on the wall now, you know? So
right.
I mean, they had a competition, but they were not giving katanas to adults. They were just giving them to
the kids, which I think those are the ones you want to
be very suspicious if I sign up for the kids division.
And really a competition, if you're going to give a katana to somebody, you should give it to the kids.
No, you should give it to adults. Absolutely. So if you'll have a tournament at your gym, you should
give katanas.
Katanas, yeah. Absolutely. It'll get good turnout. People will sign up.
If I do a super fight and invite you, Efim, and you win, I'll give you katana.
Oh, I gotta see who's my
competition.
Yeah, who's my competition?
Hand pick your competition.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like if I could.
We got some white belts you can have.
Okay, you got it. I'll be right there.
No-gi wrestling.
No-gi wrestling, no. Yeah. So what's your approach in ecological training? Like it's a big hot topic. People
really, you're gonna ask me that?
And some people gonna get mad. So, hey, make an ecological approach, taking pictures or something like that. And somebody who I know and respect send me, hey, do you like it? I'm like, what do you mean? Like ecological training? Like, I don't know what it is.
Well, first we must define it.
And I really don't know what it is. I kind of know, but kind of like...
I don't even know.
It's a drilling with resistance. That's what it is.
There you go. That's a good way to describe it.
And I'm sure we did it when I was still a white belt. Like, hey, here's a position. You could do only those certain things. That's what it is.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
And I think this is great. It works well, especially when you're not very experienced.
Well, and this is coming from somebody who has a head coach that I don't know if he'd even call it ecological. He'd probably call it constraint-based approch, but same thing.
Speak English, please.
It's the same thing. Do we know what ecological means? So, but Drake is a accolade of the ecological approach. So it's his style of coaching. But I'll just say this about it. It's all the stuff in the margins, how you train. The most important thing is that you train and that you have a good time when you train, that you have positive experience, that you have good partners, that you have a coach that cares about your advancement, a coach that's enthusiastic. And whether he uses ecological drilling or static drilling, something in between, uses any of the other approaches, the stuff we were doing last night in comp training that Marcus was using.
That's ecological training. You could say that because it's a drilling with resistance.
It's not quite there, but yeah, it's all like.
What do you mean it's not there? It's exactly the same thing.
It isn't because the resistance wasn't 100% last night.
But he was building up to that. I think at some point it will be 100%.
Sure, but yeah, to me it's like all. If you're there training, you're going to be getting
marketing.
Better.
It's marketing.
It's marketing, exactly. And I think to argue about it, and it's fine, to argue and have fun with the argument, but to get upset with other people.
Please don't upset other people. Be respectful. Be respectful.
But to be upset with other gyms or other people who train differently.
You could train as long as Matt Browse made a funny meme about it, and I made a comment. Training is training. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, if you want to train with a rubber knife, still training. Like
you still train if you're getting in shape. But I think regardless of how you're training, the number one factor that'll determine how much you improve at jiu-jitsu is how much you train, the number of times you go to class. And, you can look at it in your own jiu-jitsu. You were, probably, if not the best, one of the best blue belts, same with purple belt, now a brown belt, and you train more than everybody. And
not anymore.
Well, now you don't. So you're starting to slide downhill, you can tell.
Yeah, I think I peaked.
But if you train more, you're going to get better faster. That's unless
you train 10,000 hours of wrestling. And then you could use that as a base and you just supplement with a less training of jiu-jitsu, and you could use that background and you could just kind of go even faster than the guy who trains more.
I don't know, maybe.
I've seen that happen.
I don't know.
For sure. But not a lot of people have that. It's very limited number of people who has so much training like you do, for example, and they don't have that. Like there's not enough people like that.
So I think my personal opinion on, and this is a little more self-serving, but I think that the wrestling starts to get in the way around your blue belt skill level. It starts to dog you a little bit.
Yes, I agree. But then afterwards, it's still...
So I think that being able to improve from, like I was a successful wrestler, high-level wrestler, to be able to improve at jiu-jitsu, from my perspective, I think I use the same skills that it allowed me to improve in wrestling to improve in jiu-jitsu, like really focusing, training specifically, being intentional, that type of stuff, which is what I did when I was wrestling that got me good. I'm using those skills to get better at jiu-jitsu. So it's not necessarily because I can do a double leg takedown in wrestling and that double leg takedown is going to help me in jiu-jitsu. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But the intention and the specificity.
I agree with you
focus.
100%. But also like the way your body moves, you have those movements built in you, like, you already know how to move.
But you didn't wrestle and you have a lot of those same things.
No, I was just, I had to train a lot. And I kind of figured out like how many hours a week I need to train before my body falls apart
and then bring it right to the limit.
So if it's over 10 hours a week for over a month, then I'm going to get injured. Absolutely. It has to be like, if you could spend 7 hours a week, this is probably the best number you could do.
Sure.
This is like,
I agree.
And, you have to sleep, you have to eat, you probably have to lift, you have to do all the things to keep your body healthy.
You want to train as much as you can without getting hurt.
Yeah. And there's a fine line.
It's a fine line.
Like, oh, this hurts. Did you have any big injuries in jiu-jitsu?
I've had injuries, but nothing I couldn't train around. When I was a purple belt, I seemed to be perpetually having some nagging thing. I had a shoulder problem where I didn't have much strength lifting my arm above my elbow above my shoulder. That's a lot better now. But that was definitely a problem when I was a purple belt. And I also had a sports hernia, which is basically just a really bad groin pull. And that was really annoying to deal with, like super annoying. I basically really couldn't play guard very effectively for like 3 or 4 months because you need your abductors so much and your groin so much when you play guard. And so, yeah.
It took fun out of jiu-jitsu.
It took the fun out of, guard's more fun than anything in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, you're right about that.
But that's about it. And I could always train through. I was able to train through it all. So nothing big.
Yeah, I had a small injuries like you, like nothing major. Yeah, just
train through it.
But I remember like my first, like I twisted my knee and something popped. I don't know what it was. They did a X-ray. It was fine, but I could not really like kind of put a lot of weight
swelling in there.
There's something in it, and it was like for 2 months maybe. So we went on a boat and we had a lily pad.
Yep.
And my youngest was very little, so I have to walk on it, and it's not very stable. And I had to put weight in my foot, and it was not fun. I was like, yeah, this just sucks. Like this hurts. I can't do that.
You're
Next summer comes around and pinch my nerve, and we go on a boat again, and that boat goes boom, boom, like, on the waves, it's jumping, and every time it jumps, like it pinches, like, oh man, this is not fun. I'm like, I need to train less.
No, that's not what it is. Do you know what it is?
No.
Stop going on the water.
Yeah, exactly. Why do you go on the water? Exactly.
Why do you need to go on the water?
Yeah, you're right.
It's getting in the way of your enjoyment of jiu-jitsu if it's making you think of those injuries more.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is fun. Injuring is not fun.
You need a little bit of luck to stay healthy, but I think you can also control,
Well, you could control for sure. Like
in, picking partners, if you're 42, or you're 42 this year, you're turning 42.
I just turned 40 2 years ago.
I'm 49. I'll be 50 this year. So if you're going to pick a 22-year-old,
for every round,
195-pound athletic, purple belt to train with every day, you're playing with fire, especially if they're competitive. Some of them aren't competitive and they're just fine. They're easy to roll with. But if they're competitive, then pick good partners, tap when you need to, and if you're brown belt, you just let them work. That's what it is. You just let them work. Yeah. Be good sitting on the bottom.
Yeah. Whatever. Guillotine from white belt, you just let them work. Right?
Yeah. I was helping them out. Talked them through the choke. No, you need to put your hand
adjustment.
Here. Micro adjust that. I'll put it here instead of.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Do you have any experience with podcast?
I do have experience with podcasts.
Okay.
Podcasts started, Apple podcast platform was probably around 2006, I think, 2005, 2006. I think it was 2005. Anyways, I was kind of re-engaging in the bike racing community a little bit. I was starting to train. I was doing a few races on the side. I was kind of into triathlons, and one thing that the racing community didn't really have was like any media coverage. There was like nothing that covered it at all. Like there was nobody
cared outside of community. Even the community didn't.
Even the community. I mean, the community cared, but there was nobody that like stepped up and like said, "Hey, we're going to do this." But something that was big back then, and I don't know if you remember this, but people started blogging a lot. Like everybody had a blog. Like,
did you have a blog?
I did have a blog. So
legit.
It was basically like a precursor to today's memes. I would post funny memes,
yeah,
funny things that I thought were funny. And a lot of it was bike racing focused. But there was another prolific blogger in town who I didn't even really know, but I called him up one day and I said, his name is Tim Hayes, but everybody called him Super Rookie. I don't know why. I said, Tim, I got this idea. I know you don't know me. Well, we knew of each other, but we didn't know each other that well, or we didn't know each other directly. Mm-hmm. I said, I have this idea. I think it would be cool to start a website and for the local bike racing community that aggregates the blogs of everybody, but also does original material as well. So we bring all the local bike racers blogs together, and then we can kind of group them, because a lot of people would like do a race and then they do a recap on their blog. So using like this thing called RSS technology, you can kind of directly take those blogs and feed them directly into your website. And so people could get one place where they could read all the results or all the recaps of a race. So it take a little bit of work, but the community's kind of doing.
You did IT, so you had background. So
I had the background and but a little bit of work to kind of organize it and get it structured. And we called it bikethrow.com, which a bike throw is like if you ever watch a sprint at the end of a race and like the big group is coming in and they're really close and then right at the line, they throw their bike forward. That's called a bike throw. And then
how's it throw the bike again?
You're like sprinting and then right at the end, you
just push it like that.
Just drive and it gives you just a little bit of an advantage. So you'll often see like the photo finish, everybody's like the 3 or 4 racers are stretched.
Just doing that.
Yeah. So Super Rookie had a friend who was into graphic design. He made a logo I built the website, and then I was like, it'd be cool is if we did a podcast to go along with it, like a weekly podcast where we talk about bike racing and what happened the previous week in the bike racing community, like what happened at the weekday race, what happened in the weekend races. We cover cyclocross in the fall and the winter. And so he thought that was awesome. And when we kind of bootstrapped it and we started a podcast, and then we had another person who, I don't even know how this person got involved, but he had experience in radio. I think that I had talked to him and he told me he did college radio like yourself. Is that what it was? College radio you did? High school radio.
High school radio.
He had done college radio and he had a good voice. So we invited him to come with us. And I didn't really talk much. I just kind of ran the technology.
You have a beautiful voice. Why didn't you?
They were much better, but our technology it was nothing like this. We were just like literally with a recorder with, a couple of microphones that were bad, and there was the sound, there was a lot of background noise. We'd do it in a coffee shop, a Dunn Brothers in Minneapolis. And, but it was cool. The bike racing community, by and large, liked it. It wasn't ever going to be a big audience because there's only 500 or 600 racers in the Twin Cities, but there was a lot of engagement. They all liked it.
So how long it was going on? Like every week?
Every week for 3 years, I want to say.
That's a lot. That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah. And I kind of I started to get more involved in the wrestling club around this time, later, or kind of at the end of that phase. So I tried to pawn it off. I mean, it was never a business to make money. It was just.
Yeah, it's not a business. It's just a podcast.
Yeah, it's just a podcast to have fun. And so it hung around for a little while after that, but it kind of faded away after, kind of, I don't know, like those things do.
But it was fun. I think it was a huge for community.
Yeah.
It shows you, as I say, community builder. You did wrestling, you were building a community, getting people involved. Now you have jiu-jitsu. What are you doing? You're building a community. And even when you bike, how will make a community better? So...
Yeah. I think that's kind of it in a way that I can have fun. That's the most important.
Fun, but at the same time, what are you gonna do? You're gonna build a community and get people, to know each other and get involved. So just make a world a little better.
Yeah, give people some exposure for the hard work that they're doing.
Yeah, if everybody could do the world a little better than it is, it will be a wonderful place.
It would be a wonderful place, yep.
And it is. Especially here. I think we didn't have any guests from Minnesota yet.
Really?
Yep, none. I think we're going to have one next week.
Okay.
But so far, we had a guy from Illinois. Now we have a guy from Wisconsin.
Yeah, Vince is from Illinois.
Yeah, and... had a guy from Mongolia, had a guy from Uzbekistan, but not a lot of people from Minnesota. So,
Well, you live in Minnesota, you should be able to find them.
Who should I have on a podcast next? Maybe from Minnesota.
You should get Browse. I can't make it too jiu-jitsu focused.
I could, but this is our podcast.
Do whatever we want.
We could do anything we want. So I should have a Browse. I'll reach out to him.
Yeah, put him on the other side of the mic.
Yeah, we'll ask him questions. We gotta be tough questions.
Yeah, hard nose.
Ecological jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll do that. So the Browse teaching 11 a.m. class on Thursday now?
Monday. Thursday is open mat on 11. So I just meant you schedule it right over our open mat.
You could dedicate only so much of your time to a hobby.
Right. So you got to kind of pick.
You got a job, you got a family, and certain hours you could train.
Yep.
And you have to pick what you're gonna train. If you're gonna say, I'm gonna do this and that, and then you're kind of doing a lot of things at the same time and doing nothing.
Yep.
So that's why I like to focus right now on the game. So
yeah, I was talking to Hunter the other day, and was telling me how good you were at jiu-jitsu, and he said, yeah, well, we haven't went no-gi before, or we haven't went no-gi yet. And I'm like, you're probably not gonna.
Hunter is I think Hunter is the next great big thing in Minnesota. He's really good. He's very athletic. You know who he reminds me of? Ethan.
Oh, really?
like energy-wise, like.
Oh yeah. I agree with that.
He grabs you, and he got this like, and I'm like, okay, I better buckle up because you could go crazy. Yeah, it was very.
I never
sad.
thought about that. That's a good analogy or good comparison, I should say.
I think Ethan obviously is a black belt, and he's farther up in his jiu-jitsu, but I was very sad when Ethan moved.
Yeah, me too.
And I went to Ryan and Ka were watching some jiu-jitsu matches, and there were like kind of people were out, and Ethan was there like, by the way, I'm moving to Reno. I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah, we already packed everything. We're leaving tomorrow. Like, wow, that's just nice. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for letting everyone know.
That was like, I was sad. Like, yeah, I mean, we trained yesterday, and the last time we trained here, so yeah. I was like, yeah, awesome.
That was more warning than I got.
Because you didn't go to the party.
I didn't go to the party. I wasn't invited, probably.
I think you did go to the party. You just were late. You just showed up with a bag with kombucha. If you invite Darrin to your party, just be aware he's going to bring like cooler, and there's going to be some kombucha in it and maybe some APA. That's what it's like. He goes like, hey, honey, I'm going to the party. Here's my cooler.
You gotta bring kombucha.
Yeah.
Actually, no, you got to bring fresh steeps.
Kombucha is yesterday. Vince and the fresh steeps. It's before the training, during the training, and after the training.
That's right. Good.
So all three.
Did he set that up for you?
He was here, and he was kind enough to bring some extras. So we just kind of like got stuck up.
Did he tell you the order of operations?
Oh, he explained. Like he went into the details. So this is more like ecological approach to it. No, this is like energy, so it's caffeine in it. So before the training, pre-workout.
That one's my favorite right there.
This one, hibiscus. I like it too. It's probably the best. So how do you rate it? First place?
1, 2, 3.
Okay, mine is 1, 2, 3. Yeah, just like that. Yeah, exactly the same thing. Like, I don't know. You're just trying to copy me now.
No, I said it first.
No, I said it last week, and it's on the camera. So
well, it hasn't been posted yet.
Yeah, you're right. I have 12 subscribers.
That's awesome.
Podcast, I think it's pretty good.
It is good.
It's my family. We're a family of 5, so that
you're beyond that.
Somebody outside of my family did like it. So, but I haven't posted anything yet, so we'll post the first one on Friday. So
that's good.
It should be fun.
Because when I was at practice on Monday, which you skipped,
I was there in the morning because I cannot come Monday night because my youngest has a swimming lessons.
You skipped, and I said, so Efim has quit jiu-jitsu so he can start his podcast, but his podcast that nobody can watch because nobody can find it anywhere.
It was not there. It's not there yet. Yeah. With the kids and activities, like I said, like you have to peak right when you can train.
Yeah, you're in you're right in the middle of the grind with kids.
Yeah, my oldest is 17, so she drives and going to college next year. So but then I have 12-year-old. She does a lot of sports. I think all kids just do jiu-jitsu. That's it.
That's all they should do.
But my boss doesn't agree with me. And you have to listen to your boss.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, or you get fired.
Yeah.
We don't want that to happen. Yeah, so my middle one, she does tennis, basketball, and volleyball. And yeah, we occasionally go to jiu-jitsu from time to time. So I think kids should do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, especially girls.
Especially during teenage years. Like there's a lot of going on. I think it's good. Just kind of.
Absolutely.
I was talking to Ishmael about it, and he said that kids that do jiu-jitsu, instead of just doing team sports, they get to learn how to talk to other adults. And once they talk, they, behave way more mature in the ways that like conversation goes.
Interesting.
Because if you do a team sport, well, you basically talk to
your peers.
And but if you talk to adults or like older people, you get a different perspective, and you learn how to communicate.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know.
It's interesting. Yeah. Like, so as the kids get older and then they move up into the adult class, then they have to interact with the adults.
Yeah. Then start at 13 years old. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Huh. Interesting. I like that.
I mean, I don't have much experience.
Yeah, it's hard to.
I mean, it's hard for me to say because Ishmael trained like so many kids, so many people, but I only have 3. And it's, you know.
But Sasha trains with the adults.
Yeah, she still trains. You see her once a week, but not much.
But
she's busy.
She's pretty outgoing. She talks to adults.
Yeah, she could talk. I think Jiu-Jitsu really, it's a good thing for her. Mm-hmm. I hope she sticks with it. But no guarantees. Your kids train Jiu-Jitsu too for a little bit.
Yeah, not much.
They'll come around.
They're adults now. I missed the sweet age where I could force them to do stuff.
Yeah, isn't it nice? Like I do Jiu-Jitsu. Like,
yeah, you're going to do this.
No, get out of the bat. You're going to Jiu-Jitsu right now. Yeah, but then they get adult. They do what they want.
They do what they want. Yep. But they may pick it up at some point. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, everybody needs something to do. And when time comes and you turn 40, you're like, well, maybe I should do something. Mm-hmm. And you
do Jiu-Jitsu and you go, why didn't I start this earlier?
Yes. I don't know. If I started earlier, I probably would quit.
Me too.
Because like you had way too much in your plate. Mm-hmm. It was a first job, second job. You have to work a lot of hours.
Yep.
And then you get married, you have kids, and you don't know what's happening. And like, I don't know.
And the Jiu-Jitsu community wasn't like there wasn't many options.
And yeah, I don't know. I'll probably quit. And do you think if you were started like as a kid and trained through teenage, would you consider have it as a career? Like, you know what? I'm just gonna win black belt, adult worlds, and just have instructionals and sponsorship. Would you consider it, or would you say no?
If I would have done that?
Yeah, like you feel like a kid and like, well, you're getting good and you have some success with it and you train really hard and you had like good gym, good coach. Would you think that's something you would want to do, or like say no?
I think I would have, yeah, for sure. I would have wanted to do that.
Yeah, I would never do that.
When I was racing bikes, I wanted to be a professional bike racer. And, my talent level wasn't quite where it needed to be to achieve that. But
so you think talent level that kept you from becoming professional, or well, so you train, obviously you have a big drive and you train really hard. So you think you had all that, you had all the resources to train. It just it comes down to talent, I
think so. Yeah. I mean, I think if I was faster, I think that would definitely have been a track that I would have pursued for sure.
Or maybe you didn't have a right pharmacist. Because bike racing is a very dirty sport.
It is.
As we know.
It is.
Yeah. And I know you wouldn't do that. So you cannot.
No.
You cannot compete with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that would have put me over the edge, but yeah, I was definitely not going down that path. So.
Yeah, I could tell you didn't take any steroids. You still got all your hair. You're not crazy too. So.
Not crazy. I'm still married.
Yeah.
No, I trained really hard at bike racing.
But you have to have certain.
You have to have certain genetics. I mean, I was pretty good. I won at the highest level. I won the state championship in Minnesota.
That's pretty good.
I won a lot of races, but at the national level, I was.
How many minutes or seconds you're behind the top guys?
Well, it's not like that because most bike races don't come down to who. I mean, there's certain types of races that are, but the types of races that I was doing are, a lot of them come down to. So there's like sprinters that probably would have been what I was qualified or categorized as. So if the stage is not super mountainous, if it's more flat, a person who's a sprinter has a chance to win, and a sprinter is somebody who can come out of that big bunch and
just kind of
win at the very end. You have to have like a really fast twitch, turnover. And that was probably what I was best at, but I wasn't like as fast as the best sprinters in the country. And not only that, like if the race got really hard in the middle, I wasn't strong enough to stay with the front of the group at the professional level.
I want to see these guys who could stay in front of the race. So if you say I'm not strong, like who's strong? Like you're very strong, Darrin. Did you get it a lot when you train? Like, hey, Darrin, you're so strong. People say that?
I don't think so. Not anymore.
People say it to me like, hey, by the way, Darrin's very strong. I'm like, yep, I know. Trust me. It's a compliment.
No,
it is a compliment.
His jiu-jitsu is terrible, but he's very strong.
What do you mean? This is good. This is a compliment.
Did he wrestle too?
Yeah, they say that too. So you get a lot of compliments in jiu-jitsu. That's good.
Yeah.
It's a good reinforcement. That means you're doing something right or everything right. In
exactly.
Your case.
I only take it as compliment. You're very good. Did you wrestle? Yeah. Oh, it's not because I worked really hard at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, you work really hard. Yeah, you have to work really hard. Train a lot of hours. You just
get my face beat up.
You sweat, you bleed, you cry a little bit.
A lot. Cry a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. That happens. No, that's awesome. I think it's going to have a good podcast out of it.
It's going to be hot.
It will cut me out of it. So I'll be like, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
You look thoughtful while I'm stumbling over my words. Good.
Yeah. No, seriously. Nobody from Minnesota yet.
Well, you call me from Wisconsin, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not from Minnesota. Like you cannot become Minnesotans until you went to kindergarten here. No, this is a true story. Like if you went to the kindergarten here, you could be Minnesotans, but you can't. I mean, you could fake the accent probably, and also like 55 Hamel, but you cannot be from Minnesota.
Fake the accent.
You have a lot of friends. I give you that. You have more friends than typical outsider who have in Minnesota, but still, I don't know. Did you find Minnesota people and Wisconsin people have a different demeanor in general, or it's the same thing?
Well, where I'm from in Wisconsin is...
I'm not talking like rural Wisconsin or rural Minnesota, just in general. Like
sure. I think it's super similar.
Super similar. I think it's the same.
Yeah, I don't know the difference.
I was on vacation once in Colorado. There was a bus and people were talking. And I was a guy like, hey guys, are you from Wisconsin? I like say, no, we're from Minnesota. And they start like, yeah, I hear your accent. So I figure like you, I'm like, what? What just happened? I'm from Minnesota too.
How's my accent sound?
And then I realized, yeah, people would not. But when on vacation to Europe, I think it was last summer, and people ask, where are you from? I say, Minnesota.
They're like,
nobody questioned it. Nobody questioned it except two people. One couple from Florida. They're like, nah. And there was another guy. He's from Portugal, but his wife was Russian. Ex-wife was Russian.
Oh, really?
He's like,
I don't think
no,
so.
Seriously, where are you from? Like, yeah, Minnesota, Minneapolis. Like, no, my ex-wife was Russian, so like, I think. Like, yeah, you got it. So thank you, Darrin.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fun.